'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house, children were screaming at the self-aware cultist cyber mouse. Welcome, humble adventurers, to my realm of knowledge and mystery. Here, in my cursed library, are endless tomes and scrolls on the darkest and evilest foes in all the realms, be they from Dungeons & Dragons, Pathfinder, the many worlds of darkness, or any realm in between. Welcome to the Dastardly decimal system. I'm your caretaker of the corrupt, the librarian, Castor Cain. I have always thought that the most terrifying villains are the stealthy and creepy ones. These are the ones that can spy on you while you slumber, who have knowledge of when you're awake, and who can silently enter your home, eat your food, and leave you creepy gifts. They do this without you even knowing that they were there. The scariest of them have a song warning of their arrival. He knows when you are sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows when you've been bad or good. So be good, for goodness sake. For today's topic, I have brewed a pot of candy cane tea. This seasonal blend contains peppermint, creamy vanilla, and just a touch of cinnamon and sweet blackberry leaves. So take a seat as I talk about claws and the Christmas cult. Claus is a man who has replaced his limbs and body parts with cybernetic enhancements, all to get closer to what's known as the Great Machine. This has left Claus looking like a mechanical monster. He is 7.5 feet tall. He has an athletic and predatory build. He has long mechanical claws on each hand. Despite his look, he's built from aging components as he hasn't had the time to steal newer ones. He has also been wearing an iconic red jacket, an iconic red hat, and a pair of iconic boots, topping the entire ensemble with a false beard. Claus has built himself a flying sleigh. When in combat, he will fly over his victims and launch grenades disguised as rat presents towards the people below. When face to face in combat, he will attack with his namesake weapons, gruesomely and viciously tearing apart his foes. Once again, we find ourselves transported to the fearsome and terrifying realm of Earth. This is a malicious realm where greed, bigotry, and hate thrive. Earth is so frightening that there are countless splinters of it. There are western splinters filled with monsters and magic known as the Deadlands. There are other splinters filled with caped heroes, colorful villains, and mutants and masterminds. The splinter we look at today is a futuristic world, ripped apart by a vicious war. Massive chunks of the planet have been left devastated and uninhabitable. From this destruction, a new power took hold. The United International Government, the UIG. 5 corporations now hold all the power in the UIG. Each tries to shape the world in their own image, but together they have advanced technology as they reach for the stars. While to most in that realm there is no name, but for us observers and lore masters, we simply call this splinter the corporations. The year is 2500 AD, and Christmas is in full effect. In Los Angeles Open City, the season has taken its hold on the population. Snow is falling, merriment is intoxicating, and the traditional gift-giving of high-caliber weapons and triple-core armor jacket is in full effect. Los Angeles Open City is doing their annual lighting of the Christmas lights, and this year the city is abuzz because the legendary agent named Tex Callahan is flipping the switch. Now, for those of you not in the know, Tex Callahan is the celebrity agent. He's the most famous gunslinger in all of the Western frontier. Despite this fame, though, Tex remains a man of the people. He is likely to share a drink with you while autographing someone else's shotgun and would still have time to stop a communist uprising over a game of pool. People are excited for the arrival of Tex Callahan, and hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds are flocking to see him. Sadly, one ancient evil has also arrived to get Tex's attention.
Ho, ho, ho!
Many, many decades ago, there was an agent, one whose true name has long since been forgotten, as is the way with great evils. This agent eventually found his attention brought to the cult of the Machina. This is a faction of augmentation addicts. These people were constantly searching for upgrades to improve themselves. They would rip the cybernetics from other people's bodies and cobble them together in a DIY style. All of this was done to become closer to the machine. The nameless agent started out fighting them until he saw their truth. Flesh was weak, steel was strong, and the weakest agents always perished. Agents came and agents go, but technology stayed around forever. In order to be stronger, this agent began to get augmentations himself, the first of which was a pair of razor-sharp, superheated claws that replaced his hands. This gave the agent his new moniker, Claws. Over the decades, Claws replaced more and more of his body with cybernetics, his frail body being replaced by a collection of ill-kept, rusty steel augments. With each replacement, he got closer to the machine, closer than any other cultist had ever been. He just had one final part he needed replacing: his brain. In a final act of devotion, he attempted to download his psyche matrix, his consciousness, into a computer. Then he would replace his brain with hard drives and re-upload his mind. This would make him fully into the machine. Sadly, as they tend to with evil folk and experiments, things did not go as planned. Perhaps it was his lack of neurotech skills, his poor quality of augmentation, or simply the fault of the old computer that would store his psyche matrix. But when his conscious was re-uploaded, things went very, very wrong. When Claus was downloading his psyche matrix, he was using a very old computer that once belonged to the Bright and Sunny Media Organization. Stored on this computer was a copy of the Martha Stewart Christmas Crafting Interactive AI. Describing Martha Stewart is a difficult thing. For those who don't know, I would label her as creative as a Serac, but still bound with morals. This woman can craft anything out of anything and make it look beautiful for Christmas. And that's a good thing. Nobody knows how it happened, but when Claus's psyche hit the hard drive, it somehow got corrupted and fused with the existing AI. Now, as Claus exists in his cybernetic body, he would sporadically switch from a murderous, vile cultist to a Christmas-obsessed crafter. He would tear your heart out with his baleful claws, and then spray paint a pinecone gold and glue it to a holiday centerpiece. Claus commanded great respect from his cultist cell, but over the next few months, many left the area, tired of his bizarre craft-related demands. In present day, or the present day of the corporations, Claus is still an imposing figure. He has an unwavering reverence of the machine and a small collection of cultists who put up with his weird crafting habits in order to be next to the most devoted cultist in all of the Western Front. His home base is an abandoned junkyard dubbed the Winter Wonderland. Located several miles outside the city, any foolish enough to approach first noticed metal Christmas trees cut from old vehicle parts and mounted on piles of cars. As they get closer, they realize that the snow is deeper here than anywhere else. This is because Claus sends his cultists to collect snow from other areas and delicately place it here. Now for decades, Claus has continued his violent and crafty behavior, but the arrival of the Christmas season has changed him. For the past few weeks, he's been raiding orphanage and underprivileged families, kidnapping their children and bringing them back to his base. There, he experiments on them. He mutilates their flesh, replaces it with steel, and messes with their minds until they are reduced to mindless, devout servants. He took the decapitated heads of cultists and fused them to cyberhounds to make what he called his reindeer. And he even built himself a war vehicle equipped with hover drives, which he rides across the night sky, screaming insane gibberish at the people of the city. Now, with the arrival of Tex Callahan, Claus has decided to assault the city below. The UIG has never cared much about Claus. He never assaulted the rich, so why would they worry? But when word reached the government that Claus would assault their A-list celebrity, well, that was a step too far. Now they would have to do something. Now they would have to stop Christmas from coming. The Christmas lighting was taking place at the mall. This superstructure, over 1 kilometer in length, was now littered with undercover agents. Some were dressed as customers, others disguised as elves, and others still donned the suit of Santa and took pictures with kids. They stood in the mall, watching and scanning, until Claus attacked from above, and the UIG, with their boots ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? Claus came with machine guns? Claus came with frags? Claus came with exploding boxes and bags? And the UIG puzzled and puzzled till their puzzlers were sore. Then the UIG thought of something they hadn't before. What if fighting Claus needn't be such a chore? What if fighting Claus could mean a little bit more? Claus attacked from above. In his flying sleigh, he showered the people with gift-shaped grenades. The assault was deadly, but thankfully it was quick before Claus returned to his base. During the assault, agents spotted 2 suspicious individuals. A man in a huge brown duffel coat and hat, and a cyber dog dressed as a reindeer. Suspecting the pair to be with Claus, they apprehended Snowball and Rudolph, and began a festive session of intense interrogation. After learning the location of Winter Wonderland, the agents left the mall and began their assault on Claus's base. His cultists rushed the agents as the legion of children, Claus's little helpers, rushed to his side. The battle was intense. Some agents opened fire on the flying sleigh, while others fought off the cultist and the children, all while dodging the exploding Christmas gifts. Claus was eventually slain. His sleigh crashed into the ground. The agents ran over to the cultist and gave him a double tap, just to be sure. Finally, after a long and dangerous battle, the Los Angeles Open City would finally have a silent night. It seems that our tea has run out. I hope our chat today aids in your prevention of a merriment massacre. Join me again in my library for more stories and lore about the darkest villains from the darkest realms. This has been the Dastardly Decimal System, and once again, I am your librarian, Castor Cain. Do you love the Dastardly Decimal System and want to support us? Check out our new Patreon. Members will get access to show notes, official artwork, our new bonus episode series called Cleaning Up After Tea Time, and of course, plenty of cat pics of Vega voice actors Vash and Zid. You'll even be able to suggest a topic for future episodes. Check us out at patreon.com/Dastardly Decimal System. If you are not financially able and still want to support us, then how about suggesting the show to a D&D loving friend? It really helps us get noticed. The Dastardly Decimal System can be found on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at DD System Podcast. That's Delta Delta System Podcast. Drop us a message and say hi. Vega always loves the attention. This podcast was produced by Midnight Reading Audio, a division of Midnight Reading Publishing. The voice of Castor Cain is Larry Gent. Hi. The voice of Vega is provided by my cats, Vash and Zid. Music was Canon and Variation by Twin Music Hom, licensed under the Creative Commons. Thank you, and have a wonderful, wonderful holidays.